What's going on, everyone? It's your realtor, Joel Garay here. And today I want to very quickly talk about the 10 reasons or more for why you should work with a real estate agent during the buying process. So, first and foremost, the first reason is you want to have a buyer's consultation. That way, we can help, I would say, clarify the process and what you need and what you are looking for and want during the home buying process. A lot of times I find that I uncover a lot of stuff that people aren't necessarily thinking about, whether it's buying closer to home or being more mindful of the taxes, just all of these things. So being a lot more transparent, having that consultation, that way you guys can figure out what you're looking for, be super transparent and informed of the entire step of the process, right? Because you want clarity, you want to buy a house, you want to invest, but you may know that you want to invest, but not realize a lot of these other terms. So the next step, which is the most important step, is the pre-approval process. I normally have a person I work with, a couple people I work with very closely, but you're more than welcome to choose whatever lender and or bank that you decide to get pre-approved by. But the reason why this is the most important is because you need to know what you're approved for, right? If you don't know what you're approved for, how do you know what you can afford? So you may be approved for 100,000, 150,000, 200, 250, 300, and so on. So you need to know that number, and I can break that down a little bit more. I'll very briefly touch on it, but getting approved is a combination of where your credit is, your debt to income, what you make at work, how long you've been at work, any other assets, any other debt, things like that. So out of all of this information, they'll be able to figure out what you're approved for and get into the different kinds of loans that'll best fit your needs. Okay. Now, what we do is after you're approved, I can know what to send you, right? So I typically personally tell my clients we can look slightly above the purchase price of no more than 10,000. So let's say you're approved for 10,000, or excuse me, 200,000. The max homes I would send you or tell you to look in is 210 or below. But to be honest, I would rather you stick to your budget, because since you're approved for 200, it doesn't necessarily mean that you also need to max that budget out, but you can look up to 200,000. In my opinion, from my experience, a lot of times people have been able to negotiate $10,000 below the asking price. So you may be able to negotiate a little bit there, depending on how recent it's hit the market and so on. But we want to be able to send you a list of homes available in the area that you're looking for, with the bedrooms that you need, close to your job, with or without a pool, whatever it is that you want and or need. We want to be able to really filter that and then send that to you within your budget. Okay. The next thing is really just scheduling the home buying process. We schedule the appointments, we get you in, we guide you with the offer. So the offer is very important because you want to know there are four things that you need in an offer: your pre-approval letter, the purchase price, the earnest money deposit, and the property disclosures. So you also, in addition to the price, you want to know what terms, right? You need to know the terms. And there aren't a lot of terms, it's not super overwhelming, but you want to know the terms for the process, right? And I'm very particular with terms as well. When you submit an offer, I want to make sure that my client gets an answer within 24 hours. The inspection's done within 10 business days. You got to know when the appraisal is happening right after the inspection passes, whether it needs negotiations or whatever. There's a title search, that needs to get done. So there's a lot of stuff in the process, and you want to make sure that you negotiate the closing date, know when the mortgage commitment is, when the bank needs to give you a mortgage commitment, and so on. And then what we do also, another thing that we do, and moving on, is coordinate your services, vendor services, whether it's utilities, the inspection people give you options of who to choose from. I have about 2 to 3 different vendors for almost everything, whether it's an inspector, an attorney, or whatever the case is, and then you can choose from there based off of what you research of them and or my experience with them, who you want to use. All right. We coordinate the closing and do the walkthrough, the final walkthrough. We look at all the documentation too. That's very important before I get to the walkthrough, because the documentation, you want everything to be explained to you during this whole home buying process, step by step. And you want to know and understand everything so that you're not overwhelmed and or confused or lost about anything. I try to keep everything very open, to tell people, listen, call me, text me, any concerns. You're never bothering me. There's not enough questions. All these questions are super easy for me to answer, so don't feel like you're bothering any questions. I'm here for you, as any agent I think should. And the last thing, and this could have been hit 10 already, to try and simplify it, the last thing is it's free, right? Working with an agent is completely free for the buyer. So when we have a consultation, I get paid from the sellers. The sellers typically make the profit. The buyers typically have a lot more cost in the beginning than the sellers, because the sellers don't have to do a home inspection, right? We do. That's for our safety, health and safety knowledge and purposes only. They don't have to do the appraisal. They don't have to do certain things. So there are typically more upfront costs to buying, and a lot of the profit will come from the seller. So I get paid by them. Some agents will charge you a small fee for services. However, that's completely dependent on the situation. I tell people, depending on the situation, some people charge, some people don't. It really depends on the situation. But most times, to use a professional that will help guide you through the process is completely free, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to protect you and guide you throughout the entire way of this process. So I hope that helped, guys. If you have any questions, there goes 10